Hello, everybody. Welcome to 2Big2Bail, a movie-centric podcast that's all about the positive. You know, it's a positive pod.
It's a positive pod. Staying positive
pod.
in the face of great adversity or bad movies.
When I'm with my good friend and podcast co-host and special guest Colton Baseness.
Thank you. Hi, it's me. And of course, the dulcet tones you heard before this was the great man Eric Spooky Dominguez, podcast raconteur, confidant, and all around great guy.
I like that we introduce each other.
Yeah, that's nice. See, it's
Something
like
I've
I have to say three nice things about you as well.
So if some of you who don't know, this podcast is a little different from your average pod. It is a movie centric podcast.
It's a challenge pod of sorts.
It's a challenge. It is a challenge pod
for us more than anyone.
Each week, Colton and I are going to get together and we're going to spin a wheel filled with horrible movies that each of us have put and offered forth to the wheel. We both
movies
have
that
separate
are generally
wheels.
Not regarded well, or specifically my wheel is movies I don't think that my good friend Eric Dominguez will enjoy
And
for one reason or another.
My wheel is just awful. Some of the stuff on there I really don't want to watch. I just pick some horrible garbage that I think it would be fun to watch with Colton.
To suffer through with me.
Yes. And so the rules are, if Colton bails on a movie before I do, he thus then has to spin a separate wheel filled with horrible, horrible sitcoms.
Yes, the punishment wheel of 30-minute sitcoms. Most of them already canceled.
Yes. All of them were only seen for a year, maybe less.
Yes. So a lot of them due to racism, to be honest, looking at this list.
We didn't spin that wheel
No.
before this episode. We got through the two movies, shockingly.
Right. Well, a little adjustment, actually. We've decided that we will spin both wheels each week. Like you will have to watch one of the movies from my list, and I will have to watch one of them from yours, and we'll both try to get through them both.
And we did that this week. I'm trying to think. Oh, and so if Colton bailed on a movie and I finished it all the way through, I am rewarded with a skip. So I can skip if I roll.
Right.
If I
roll again, if you will.
A roll again. So if we get a movie about a monkey who's also a spy, and I don't want to watch that, I'll just go ahead and skip it.
Right. You just roll again. You find something else. Now, that said, the movie does not get removed. It's still in the mix.
Yes. A movie only gets removed once it is washed and completed. And
of course, it doesn't rule out the possibility of you rolling that same movie again, in which case you will just have to watch it and forfeit your skip.
And that will just be the universe telling me I have to watch
this.
Of
course.
movie.
I mean, that's just Lady Fate, Lady Luck.
Lady Luck.
So, if you remember from episode 0, we did roll my wheel first, and we got the Eddie Murphy critical flop, The Adventures of Pluto Nash.
More like Pluto ass, am I right?
Wow.
So the way we're going to do these is I'm going to say 3 positive things about it, but I'm also going to summarize it. And,
right. Yes. So that is part of the requirements of completing the movie is you will have to give a summary as well as list 3 things that you positively did enjoy about the movie.
Pluto Nash came out in 2002. It is directed by Ron Underwood and stars Eddie Murphy. Also stars Randy Quaid and Rosario Dawson. And Johnny Slaps, that his name?
Johnny Pants.
Joey Pants.
It's Joey Pantaleonis.
The movie takes place in 2080 on a colony of the moon called Little America.
I am so sorry. It's pizza time.
It's pizza
Sorry,
time.
I gotta pull this pizza.
I was just talking about in 2080, there is a colony on the moon called Little America.
Yes.
Somehow, Eddie Murphy's character Pluto Nash makes his way to the moon. He's an ex-convict, apparently, and he goes to this awful bar run by Jay Moore, who is trying to start his career in the performing arts, doing music and stuff. He started off as a bagpiper. He's a singer doing bagpipes, doing some Irish songs.
Scottish.
Whatever. And Eddie Murphy walks in. He's friends with Jay Moore before this, right? Like he's coming up to see him.
Yeah. Like he's coming up specifically to see Jay Moore, and he's like, "Hey, man, this sucks.
Yeah, what this place doing sucks.
Yeah, the bar is in like a real state of disrepair."
There is the classic Eddie Murphy walks into a bathroom and it stinks bit. That is back.
You gotta have that. I mean, if you get Eddie, you're getting the stink face.
Getting that classic stink face. That's a positive. I love those stinky scenes.
So one of your positives, insert point noise here, is Eddie Murphy stink face.
Stink face. Also, the main theme for Pluto Nash. There is I think there's like how many covers or remix covers of songs of Moon songs?
I counted 3. But you like the first one, the remix of Blue Moon?
Yeah,
the 2000s remix of Blue Moon.
That was funny. Then then there's a weird time skip that I didn't quite understand. Was it?
There's a 7-year. It skips forward 7 years because he takes over club ownership. The 2 bookies that actually like financed Jay Moore getting this club come in while Eddie Murphy is exploring the stinky bathroom, and are gonna kill Jay Moore.
How are they gonna kill him again?
They're gonna pour battery acid down his throat.
That is correct. Also, nothing that is happening in this bar or on this quote unquote moon colony feels futuristic.
It feels very much just like New York.
Yeah. Eddie Murphy takes over the bar, makes it super successful, becomes like the #1 club or whatever in Little America. He finds himself in hot water. Club Pluto. He finds himself in hot water because the mob wants to buy his club and turn it into a casino. Right. He turns it down, and then there's just a hit on him, and then chaos ensues. Rosario Dawson comes in the picture because she wants a job as a singer at a Pluto Nash's club. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She comes and he tells her you can't sing, but
her dad was old friends with Pluto Nash.
I totally missed that, but not surprising. Not surprising at all. And then Randy Quaid shows up as his robot assistant, his robot butler.
Right. It's kind of like his muscle.
His muscle, yeah. What was his name?
I can't lie to you, Spooky. I forgot.
It's Bruno. His name is Bruno.
Right, it's Bruno.
Bruno.
Do you want to describe the look of Randy Quaid in this?
He is bald, has veneers.
Stark bald.
No eyebrows either, right?
I don't. No, I think there were eyebrows.
I'm looking at a
because
picture.
I remember he looked kind of.
Oh yes, he does have.
He does have eyebrows, but there's like a glowing strip on the back of his bald head. That's like, oh, this is a robot. And he's always wearing a silver suit that is so stiff that just like it looks like it's made out of like aluminum.
Yeah, this character was the worst part of this movie.
How would how would you describe the way he sounds?
He talks like this. He talks like with his mouth closed. Talks like he's a meth addict. He's like, yeah. And he has like, there's a weird thing, like he has like this weird jealousy plot point with him. Like he's jealous of Pluto Nash and Rosario Dawson's relationship.
Yeah,
like there's some weird moments really in the movie.
Pays off. It seems like they're setting him up to betray Pluto Nash.
Yeah, but he never does.
He never does.
I'm trying to think of some other things that happen between now and the ending.
Okay. Well, they send Joey Pants, who plays like the muscle of the mafia. They send him in to try and get the club, and Pluto's like not interested. and
Yeah, it is.
so
Yep, yep.
they bomb the club.
They bomb the club, and then the adventure ensues.
The adventure begins, and I use the term adventure lightly.
Yeah, not much adventure. They go to like Pluto Nash's old hideout. That's like
right. It's like an
not
old,
a part of the town. It's like
mining
station, whatever. And there's a robot in there.
Well, they steal a car first.
Yeah, oh, God, they steal a
they
car.
Steal a car that's played by John Cleese.
Is that where the Cleese car comes?
Yeah, and they have to steal the car to get out too, because they have to take it out of the city.
Yes, John.
There's like a gunfight in the city where you see some of the city, but it really does just look like a set of New York that they added a couple of futuristic neon signs to.
It looks like Universal City Walk.
It looks like City Walk. Yes, actually, it has a lot of the same stores as City Walk.
That is another positive for me. I love that they created a City Walk.
It looks like City Walk. I think I had this thought that it looks like the album cover for the first Smash Mouth album.
Yes, that was great. They get to the moon, Pluto Nash's hideout, and there's a robot in there that is a French maid, and all she does is drop
you
stuff.
Forgot. There's a whole. You meet Pluto Nash's mom and everything.
Oh, Pam.
Right, they have to
doesn't she arrive at his at the hideout?
No,
you're
it's
right.
in the city. It's at the they get like a motel room. You see, they do like robot shenanigans with Bruno. Then the mom shows up, and he's like, "Mom, what do I do?" And she doesn't really offer anything useful other than being Pam Grier in the movie.
Yeah,
and she does distract the mobsters for a moment while they get away.
We forgot Everybody Loves Raymond, Dad.
Yeah. So one of Pluto's like sources is Peter Boyle from Everybody Loves Raymond, who used to be a cop but is now a guy who just a moon man who wears a Hawaiian shirt in pool halls.
Oh God.
So he tells him about the guy in charge of the mafia, who's like people don't know who it is, but people assume that it's this Earth mobster who is played by Alec Baldwin. Like, we assume that it's him under a different name.
Yeah. Alec Baldwin shows up for like a cameo scene.
He does. Fun fact, I was reading about this, is that he was so embarrassed of this movie that he demanded that he not be credited for his cameo.
Wow. Oh, wow. Tells you.
Yeah.
They get to that moon base.
They get to the mining.
They find
where he
eventually
stores old stolen stuff.
Yeah, somehow
he used to be a smuggler. Yeah. He used to be like a Lando Calrissian-esque smuggler.
You could not tell that he was a smuggler.
I feel like the pitch of this movie had to be like, what if we just give Lando a movie? And it's like, who could play Lando? And it's like, Eddie Murphy. And it's like, but
how much?
It's really
we're gonna have to pay him a lot of money. Yeah. We're gonna have to pay him a lot of money if he wants to be in it. So we're not gonna have any money for a budget.
So there's a robot maid there.
A robot maid, and I forgot what her name was, but her whole thing is that she drops stuff and shows her rear end to Randy Quaid's Bruno. And he falls in
Randy
love with her.
Quaid is a robot who is sexually attracted to another robot. They both look like people, and Randy is Randy.
Randy's Randy. Then they somehow, you don't know how, but the mobsters find their hideout, and they smoke out Pluto Nash and his.
They have to have a shootout on the surface of the moon.
Oh, remember the vacuum scene of everything flying out?
Oh yeah. Well, also they have these spacesuits that are just kind of like these full leather outfits, but they have cuffed bottom, like the bottom of the pants.
Bell bottom pants. They're bell bottom pants.
They're not sealed at all.
You got that. You can't wear that in space, baby. What are you thinking? What were they thinking? They somehow escape. They're running away on foot. Both.
No, they get onto the car. They use the John Cleese mobile.
Yeah, but doesn't they blow up? They get in a chase, but then they get out and it blows up.
Yeah, there's an explosion in space.
Yeah, then they start walking, and they both, Eddie Murphy and Rosario Dawson, pass out. with
That happens after they crash the car. There's a car
Yes.
chase. There's like a
there
whole
is a
car chase.
Yeah, it was an
And
awful
then they
car
crash
chase.
the car. The car blows up because I guess it's nuclear powered or something. And then so they're trying to walk back. They're trying to get to
the other city in the moon.
the moon version of Las Vegas, which is called like some. I think it's just
I would
called
say more like Atlantic
it's
City.
called Moon Beach. Yeah,
Moon Beach.
Real creative.
They pass out. Bruno has to carry them, and then he freezes or whatever
and dies.
And
well,
then lo and behold, the star of the movie, Louis Guzman, comes up.
That's right. They're saved by
the Puerto Rican moon man himself.
They're saved by a rogue Guzman.
He finds them and he brings them all back online. Brings them back, and Pluto Nash offers him he's a big fan of Pluto Nash.
He's dressed like a cowboy.
Just like a Puerto Rican cowboy.
Since watching this movie, I've had several dreams of being rescued by a rogue Luis Guzman. It's like, oh, he's here. He's gonna save me.
He's like, hey man. That's my best. That's my
I mean, it's brief enough that I can't say it's not accurate. I think he has a little bit of a lisp though. So
yeah, talk like this. He has if you do a Mike Tyson impression with
it's kind of like a
Spanish,
a Mike Tyson with like more of an underbite.
Yeah, underbite, little of his Spanish New Yorkie accent.
It's like he has a piece of gum that he's not willing to take out of his mouth, but he doesn't want to chew anymore.
Why would he?
I don't know.
I get rid of it.
He's a unique guy. I like Luis Guzman a lot. Almost as much as I like Joey Pants.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
I know.
So
he gets them the rest of the way to
Moon Beach.
They
sneak into where Jay Moore's.
They only have Luis Guzman's clothes.
Yeah,
but they fit them perfectly.
Fit them quite perfectly. Randy Quaid puts on a blonde wig.
Yeah. Yep.
He then
I guess robots are not allowed within the confines of the casino.
I don't think that's true.
No, they say you have to check your robot.
Yeah, but I think they didn't want to check them because if they checked them, they would know that they were here.
Right, but robots also are not allowed. But because once he books his room under Pluto Nash, I don't think they care. I think they just wanted to have him as the muscle.
Yeah, I mean, he did rip off that casino.
They do like a weird abusive joke where he beats up a woman robot that is also a slot machine.
And she was she was horny for him, and she was
aggressively coming on to him, and he
I'm alive with somebody else
and beats her with it. It's rough.
And then Eddie Murphy rents a suit. And
rents a tuxedo. He goes from his Panama Jack suit to a full tuxedo, and then they go to the Jay Moore show, who has changed his act to be more of a Frank Sinatra ripoff.
Something Francis.
Tony Francis.
And the only reason Jay Moore came up with that name is because Pluto Nash inspired him.
Right.
To be a lounge, Italian Frank Sinatra lounge singer
instead of a Scottish death poet. I don't know. But he's had insane success with that as the moon's only Frank Sinatra impersonator.
He is not doing anything original. He's just singing Frank Sinatra song or just moon-based songs.
He is working more moon puns into Frank Sinatra songs.
He's a moon-based artist.
Right. Well, he starts with "Fly Me to the Moon," which is the obvious choice, of course. And then he instead of New York, I love this town, he sings Moon Beach, I love this town.
Moon Beach, I love this town. Oh God. And then somehow Eddie Murphy convinces Jay Moore to get him to a secret elevator where they can take up to confront Alec Baldwin. Right.
The mobster is supposedly stays in the penthouse at the top of the casino, but you can only get to it through a private elevator Jay Moore, who has two wives. He just met a girl that he really loved, and then had her cloned, and she was cool with that.
So weird.
So he agrees to help Pluto get to the penthouse, but he have to jump over in his own. He have to take his private elevator up to a point, and then jump over to the penthouse private elevator, and they set this whole thing up, and Pluto Nash sees it and basically is like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, fuck that. And then they're captured. The mobsters find them and
take them up there. Yeah.
Wouldn't
they
you
take
know?
Them right up to
they take him right up to where he wanted to go, and they confront who you think is Alec Baldwin, but turns out it was a clone of Pluto Nash all along.
Can you believe that twist? Were you ready for that? Did that surprise you?
No, I wasn't. It did surprise me. I did not know that was coming.
They had mentioned cloning several times, and
yes.
They went really heavy on it when he's like, I cloned my wife. So yeah, I will say they didn't mention any incident that would lead me to believe that Pluto Nash had been cloned. Because after they reveal that it is a Pluto Nash clone who's been setting them up this whole time, they're like, how did this happen? He's like, well, remember when you got your appendix removed 30 years ago? And it's like, what? That's when it happened? You guys didn't even mention that ever. So yeah. So Pluto Nash is revealed to have been cloned, and he took the moniker Rex Crater, right?
Rex Crater, that sounds right.
Flintstone ass name. And then so he proceeded to because it's convoluted. They cloned him because they wanted to get a casino on the moon, but they wanted a guy who knew the moon really well because Pluto used to be a smuggler on the moon. And so they had him, and they wanted him to be the face of that operation. And he immediately got tired of being the puppet and killed the character of, what was his name? I don't know. Alec Baldwin's character. He killed him and took over himself. So.
Yeah, and then there's a whole shoot him. He's not the real me. And then
Eddie Murphy does get in a fist fight with Eddie Murphy.
They're both wearing the same suit, but the clone Eddie Murphy mocks him for wearing a rental. What is it? Literally the same tuxedo.
So yeah, the mobsters, including Joey Pants, are trying to figure out which one to shoot. And so to prove that he's Rex Crater and not Pluto Nash, he shoots Bruno in the chest. And so the guys are like, well, he would never do that. So he shoots, so they all shoot the other guy. But it turns out Pluto did shoot Bruno because he knew he would be okay. Because I know he hasn't said it up to now, but Pluto always has a phrase, and he says, "Never leave home without an undershirt." And by undershirt, he means a bulletproof vest. And Bruno was wearing one, but so was Rex because he's also Pluto. So shooting him didn't do anything, and so they have to fight again.
And then doesn't it all end with Pluto Nash tossing the other guy off the
he throws him out the window, I think, right?
Yeah, and he falls onto the table with Luis Guzman, right?
Luis Guzman is in the casino. He gets arrested for loaded dice, so I think he's already gone.
Oh, okay. I thought he landed on the table. Luis Guzman was playing it.
I don't think so. This part doesn't. It barely matters. So, pretty much without any consequence, Pluto takes over doing what Rex did and gets his club back, and goes back to running his club.
Yep. And then there's a joke.
And Rosario Dawson is allowed to be a singer now.
And there's a joke made by Randy Quaid. It's not even a joke, but he can't be in a relationship with the French maid robot because he is in quote unquote he is a 63 and she is a 62 and the parts are just incompatible.
Oh yeah, and he says, "Why don't you go get an adapter?" And he's like, "It just wouldn't be the same."
Wouldn't be the same. And then I'm not sure what part it was, but remember when they showed his robot penis?
Yes, because Luis Guzman has to give him a jump.
Oh yes,
when he rescues them, he has to give he hooks a jumper cable up to his dick, which is just a metal rod.
That's my last positive was that metal rod scene.
Wow. I think it's. I'll give you my positives, even though I don't think I have to. But my positives were as well. I listed the 2000s remix of Blue Moon as one of my positives, and then also Joey Pants' whole performance just really did it for me. Love that guy. Nice. Also, there is Pluto Nash wears a jacket at some point that is yellow suede with it's just yellow suede in the shoulders, and the rest is this honeycomb pattern. And I thought that was a very cool jacket.
Oh yeah, the style of the wardrobe for Pluto Nash was pretty good.
Yeah, Pluto Nash has like good wardrobe, but the style of this movie is not great.
No.
It seems it has the kind of energy of Men in Black, except for without any of like the content, with like it's just like nothing backing it up. It has like the same kind of like feeling, like the same energy, but without anything underneath it. Also, I wanted to note that not a single joke lands except for when he is fighting himself, the clone of himself, and he punches a mirror and breaks it.
Oh, that's right.
And his clone is on the other side and punches him as soon as he breaks the mirror. And I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. But that was about it for me. It seems like they weren't even really trying to land any jokes. Had you seen this movie before?
No, I've never. I told you, I remember watching a scene from it or two, but I never watched the full thing.
I had like scattered memories of scenes as well. But in my head, I was so sure that this movie was chock-a-block with like practical alien effects, and not a single alien in this movie. Like barely, there's like robots, but barely, and they all look like people.
Yep.
I thought for sure there was going to be aliens in this, and that's where I think the movie went wrong. Is like you got to have practical aliens if you're going to have like I think this movie could have worked if it was just a little more interesting.
I agree.
It feels like kind of like one of the later Elliot Gould mystery movies where he's like a kind of tired detective looking for something, and it's just like, but it can't be too exciting because it just isn't.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah,
it is a stinky movie.
It's just like not that much
going on
there. Yeah, there's just not that much there. That's the problem. It's like I think it has promise. Like the concept of like Eddie Murphy is a club owner in space, and he has to figure out why the space mafia wants his club, and it's just like that's promising, but nothing at all comes like of it.
Nothing at all. It's like one of those bad movie. It's a bad movie I would never recommend anybody watch because
it's just not that. It's not that visually interesting, and the story is just like nothing. Other like there's a twist at it, but it's just like it's not an earned twist.
Yeah,
it seems like they couldn't get Alec Baldwin to come to the set.
That's why I think the movie we spend the second movie we're going to be talking about today, I think is to me is a movie that I would want people to watch.
So yeah, we spun your wheel.
Now this movie that I spun, was a late addition to my wheel. I was surprised we landed on it so quickly.
All right, so we got the vaguely unauthorized follow up to Donnie Darko. S Darko is what I so luckily spun.
Yep.
So this movie came out in what, 2006?
I think it was 2009.
2009. Yeah, that's right. No. It came out 2009 and it does take place 7 years after Donnie Darko. So it takes place in 95 or something.
Yes.
And it follows a specific misadventure of Donnie Darko's youngest sister, Samantha Darko.
Mm-hmm.
Oofa doofa. I have a plot summary here, which I'm gonna need to get through. All right. So, 7 years after the death of Donnie Darko, I don't know if you remember what happens in Donnie Darko, but the plane engine does end up crashing into his room, and all is put right in the world. And by that I mean all is wrong, because pretty much, like, the world is kind of fucked because the child pornographer gets away. The family seems to be pretty upset. It seems like stuff's not good. Anyways, they thought that was an uplifting ending that they should follow up. And so now, 7 years after the death of Donnie Darko, a young man troubled by hallucinations of doomsday. His now 18-year-old sister Samantha joins her best female friend. Oh, this summary's not well written. Her best friend Corey on a road trip from Virginia to California. They break down. Their car breaks down in Utah. So they're in the desert, and a local bad boy pulls over to help them. That's Randy. And so Corey is played by the lead from the Step Up franchise. And Randy is played by somebody from Gossip Girl. I don't watch the show, but he's the guy who squints a lot. He's constantly like smoldering.
He's a smoldering character, yeah.
He gives like a smoldering look at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And he also mumbles the entire movie. He's acting like he's too cool to actually speak. Yeah,
you have to watch this movie with subtitles immediately.
Yeah, we did, because I couldn't understand what
vocal fry and mumbling.
Yeah, Randy. He said, "Yeah, man, I fix your car. You want me to fix your car or something, you know."
What, Randy? What did you say?
What's that? If you want me to, I could fix your car.
Your car, whatever.
My brother's dead.
My baby brother's dead.
So, they are kind of they're stuck in this town while Randy is gonna fix their car. They need a new water pipe in their car or something.
Water pump or whatever.
He's gonna go through the junkyard, find the part, and put it in their car, but he's gonna take his time. So they kind of spend time meeting the eccentric locals. There is a man named Iraq Jack, who is a veteran of the Iraq War. He is homeless, and he's going through a tough time. He's a young man
suffering from severe PTSD.
And everyone in town hates him. Hates his guts.
Yeah. Because they know he killed them babies.
Well,
how they know he killed babies?
They know he killed babies because he does say it pretty easily. There is a scene late in the movie where Randy is fixing the car, and Iraq Jack walks up to him, and Randy says, "Hey, are you supposed to be back here?" And Iraq Jack says, "I killed babies."
I killed babies.
And then he goes into detail, and Randy's like, "All right, man, this is like why people don't like you." You didn't talk like this, maybe people would give you a shot, but conversationally, you're tough. So in meeting these kind of eccentric locals, they find out that a local boy, Billy Morecraft, has gone missing, and through exploring the town a little more, they find out that this is something that has kind of happened maybe before. Kids have gone missing before. So Samantha is struggling with her brother's death, even all these years later, and she is sleepwalking similar to how he did. So while wandering that first night, she meets Iraq Jack, who is actually named Justin.
How do you know that?
I'm looking at it on the page. Oh. It's never mentioned. They only call him Iraq Jack. And so he is sitting on top of a windmill. She climbs up to have a conversation with him. And then she, like, throughout the movie, when she's sleepwalking, she turns into this kind of, like, ghost version of herself. Like, she flashes into this, like, ghostly white version of herself in a specific dress who has, like, a pretty significant head wound. And that version of her tells Iraq Jack that the world is going to end in a specific amount of time. And the movie uses that as a framing device to kind of count down the movie. But it doesn't really work because they don't really use it well. But he already knows that the world's going to end. And
it gets so convoluted at this point.
Because she gets him to jump off the tower before a meteorite crashes into it.
What we
destroying
think is
the tower.
When it actually isn't.
I will get into that at some point. But the windmill is destroyed, and Jack is not dead. And the guy who owns the windmill is like pissed. He's like, "Man, this was my expensive windmill. This was worth a lot of money.
It's worth like $600."
The guy, Ethan Hawke's brother, who runs the motel, says, "Well, why don't you just, sell the meteorite to some nerd, like some space nerd will come buy that for a good penny." And the guy's like, I guess that's true. I could do that. And so a local, a young high school nerd pulls up and buys the meteorite for $600.
I don't think he was in high school. I think he was just a nerd.
Maybe college age.
Yeah, I would say college age. He was like driving a BMW.
He's local.
He's a local.
You could tell he's a nerd because he's wearing thick rimmed glasses.
Oh, we forgot to mention that Randy had a pack of cigarettes rolled up in his sleeve.
Right. Yeah, he did have a pack of cigarettes rolled up into his sleeve, so you could tell that's how you can identify him as the bad boy.
He is the bad boy.
He's the bad boy. He doesn't do anything particular. No, I guess he does at some point do a bad thing. So this summary gets pretty vague here, and it just says a series of mysterious encounters and events follow. Great.
Like,
so Jeremy is the name of the guy who buys the meteorite. He chats with Samantha at the Samantha and Corey are at the diner where there is a woman, the woman working there. She's an older lady who hates Iraq Jack. She just like pops in to let him know that, hey, I work here. I get it. I used to be on the road. Also, I hate Iraq Jack. And then Jeremy tries to kind of flirt with Samantha, and Corey asks if he is a gay. And he is understandably taken aback by that line of questioning.
Excuse me?
And she goes, "Isn't Jeremy a gay name?" And then the conversation comes to a complete halt, really, because it's just like, what are you talking about?
He just turns around and eats his sad BLT.
He's like, all right, I'm just going to eat my sandwich then. Jesus.
Then Samantha gets fed up and I think they both get up and leave, and then she tells
Corey
Jeremy.
wants them to skip out on their bill, and then she leaves.
Yes.
Samantha leaves money on the table, and as she's walking out, she taps Jeremy on the shoulder and lets him know that she doesn't think he's a gay. Just really great stuff there.
Great writing.
I love it. Woofa doofa. And then so what happens next? Randy pulls up and this is kind of where he tells them about his younger brother who disappeared a while ago and they think he's dead. And then they're kind of they do a lot of wandering of this town and they just keep meeting people. There's like a woman who is super religious. She has a key bracelet that comes into play later. And then they wander onto the church and meet a guy who is, just tending his garden. And, he's the pastor of the church. And Corey is just like super rude to this dude. Just like aggressively Randy to this guy because she thinks it'll get a rise out of the Jesus guy, and he's like, "No, I used to be like a criminal, but now like I get what you're doing." And he hands a book to Samantha that is called Jesusonomy by C. Fisher, who is the director of the movie. And this is one of my highlights is the book and cover of Jesusonomy because it has like this kind of like 60s graphic design on it. It looks like a sci-fi book, but it's just like got Jesus busting out of some kind of sphere.
Here he comes.
Yeah. So that's one of my highlights of them. That's one of my positive things. So let's see what happens later. What's the next thing that happens in this movie?
Isn't it the beginning of the time traveling aspect of this flick?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think that happens until.
Isn't it the party?
Yes, there is a
house party thrown by Randy.
There is a party where people are kind of.
It's like
they're doing high
July,
school party stuff, and like. This is where Randy shows Samantha his dead brother's room where like everything is like wrapped in plastic to be preserved, and he's like his parents are out of town. He's like, "Don't touch anything. This is my brother's
Dad will
room."
freak.
And then Samantha tells him what their plan is. Like she and Corey are going to California, where Corey's dad owns a club where they can, I guess, be dancers. And he kind of makes an off-color comment about that, and she's like, not having that. So they do not hook up in Randy's dead brother's room. And so later earlier at the party, Corey pushes Samantha in the pool for like no reason. Corey's like becoming like less and less like okay as a person. She's like just becomes kind of intolerable.
Yeah.
And then because they seemed a little close at the beginning, they were on this journey together, and they had like a catchphrase. What was their catchphrase, Eric? What was their catchphrase again?
Randy and Samantha. No,
Corey.
And
Corey and Samantha. They had
a thing. It was like, "We're still perfect."
Oh yeah. We're so perfect.
And then
immaculate. And so after the night of the party, while she's sleepwalking, she meets up with Iraq Jack again, and commands him to burn down the church. And he just does it. He's like, yeah, of course. He calls her like his princess. And he does. Yeah, he like burns the church down. And the police, the next day, the police just like straight up find his dog tags
fail to find him at all.
Yeah,
they don't
he's
do
like
anything.
Around. They just like stop looking for him. They're like, you did this. And they're like, all right, well, continuing to believe that guy sucks. And that's it. So yeah, that's weird. And then Samantha meets up with Jeremy, who is kind of acting strange. Like, he's like not wearing his glasses anymore, and he's acting way more confident for no reason. He's like I figured it out. I know what life is about. And he's like kind of scratching his shoulder, and she's like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I have a rash." And so he's like acting like some like this is one of my highlights is that Jeremy is apparently going through his own kind of like Venom-esque situation with this meteorite that we never explore deeper than this at all. Like he just like gets a rash and acts a little bit differently in the background. But like this thing is like clearly like changing him. Like
Yeah. Oh yes, weird. Like he has a rat. He has like the veins popping out of
yeah,
his
he
head.
like becomes more aggressive, and like he's like, oh yeah, he has like veins that pop out of his head, and he can like do psychic stuff.
Fucking weird.
Yeah, and it just but that only comes into play for like a second later in the movie. But I liked it because they don't go into it. They're like, yeah, it's just happening over there.
Don't worry about it. Huh?
So during that day, Justin has like pretty much lost his Iraq Jack has lost his mind completely and begins like forging a bunny mask, like the bunny skull from the first movie. But he's making it out of like sheet metal, so it's like, and it's got like barbed wire wrapped around it, so it's like super jagged, and it fucks his face up, but he wears it. So Samantha is just kind of walking down the road, and oh no, she meets up with the pastor again at this movie theater.
Oh yes,
and he
dude.
like puts the moves on her, and she's like,
he tries to like
gross.
fucking finger blast her. Like,
yeah, he like at a
gross.
movie theater, like she like goes to see the burned down church. Is like, oh, I'm sorry about this. This is crazy. He's like, I don't even care. Come to my movie theater. And they go to this movie theater and they sit in the front row, and they basically kind of talk about the scene from the first one where they're watching Evil Dead 2, and he just like sees the future. And he's like, sometimes I sit here and I just watch the screen and wait for God to tell me what to do. And then he just like he like slides his hand up her leg. She's like, yuck, what are you doing?
He's like, no, nothing at all. And then the church lady comes in.
Yeah, the church lady is like waiting for them outside, and Samantha is like, yeah, she pretty much tries to tell the church lady, like, this guy's a creep. Like, I don't know what your deal is, but you need to not be so into him. Oh, that's right, because she's at the she sees her earlier at the police station when she sees Jeremy, and she tells her how much she's like sexually into Jesus, which is another one of my positive things. Is she describes her relationship with Jesus as like a sexual one, because he says like he's like muscly and like
big brown muscles, muscle thunders in his eyes.
He has thunder in his eyes, and it's like, and she just like gets hot and bothered describing Jesus, and I just thought that it was interesting to have this woman who is having sex with Jesus, and so when Samantha like runs out of the movie theater and is like, "Hey, that guy's a creep," she's like, no, and the pastor is like, you have to understand it wasn't my fault. And she's like, I do understand. I believe you. I believe that that young teenage girl was like tempting you. And it's like, a lot of red flags. Gosh, this movie is so fucking long.
It's not that long though. It's like only an hour and 48 minutes.
I know,
maybe.
but it feels so
forever.
long.
Yeah.
So then Samantha is walking down the street, and Corey pulls up in Randy's car, and Samantha's like, look, can we get out of here? I do not like this town. And Samantha and Corey says some like real shitty stuff to Samantha. She's like, what are you gonna try and kill yourself again? It's just like, yuck. And then so Randy is like, come with us, we're drinking and driving. And Samantha's like, nah, pass, man. And she walks up the road, and then so Randy tries to like speed by her, but they is like T-boned at the intersection by a car that comes out of nowhere.
It's the same exact car they drove into town, by the way.
Yeah, it's their car. And so it's somehow everyone in the car survives. In Corey's like he's drop top, but Samantha is hit in some way and does die. The main character dies in this car accident, and so we switch over to have Corey be the main character for a little while.
I think for the next 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, for like the next 15, 20 minutes. And so she's just like really ripped up by the death of her friend who she was super mean to. And so she's like going through Samantha's bags, and she finds a book about time travel and doesn't read it, just kind of puts it on top of a Bible. And then she finds a story that Samantha wrote as a child about a princess and a boy named Justin. I didn't really catch that connection, but she reads it. It doesn't do anything. And then after like a weird boy, like this weird ghostly boy appears to her in her sleep, and he's like in red pajamas and like commands her to like, she has to follow like that weird time water stream that comes out of her chest. and he's like, look, you have to do this. You don't really have a choice. And so she's like forced into time traveling back in time. Like she goes into a cave and that has a portal in it that takes her back in time. So there's time travel, but it takes her back like a day, just like to the beginning of the day of yesterday. And yeah, everything just kind of moves backwards, and we just go back to the car crash scene where Corey and Randy drive up, and Corey's like nicer and doesn't, and because she was kicked out of the car the first time for being like essentially a real stinker. But this time, because she's nicer to Samantha, she stays in the car. So when it's hit, Corey dies, and Samantha stays alive and is devastated by Corey's death. So it's just kind of, they switch. It's like a pointless thing that happens.
Yeah.
It's just basically eats 20 minutes of the movie. And so she just like now has a reason to be mad at Randy, who's just like super apologetic. Is like, I'm sorry. I like, what can I do? And she's like, can you unkill my friend? And that's of course not an option. And then she sees a dress that she likes. She's like, can you buy me that dress? He's like, no, I can't do that either. And she's like, well, what are you fucking good for, dude? I'm like, Jesus. Darko indeed.
And then like nothing ever happens.
That's true. Really, nothing between them really happens. But Jeremy does overhear her interest in the dress that is at his family's dress store that he works at. I guess. So
then isn't that where he heads butts Randy, right?
Right, yeah. Randy's like on a bicycle, of course, because his car is broken. Because he's fucking totaled his car. And so Jeremy's like, why don't you get out of here, man? And Randy's like, are you fucking serious right now? Like, get the fuck out of here. And he's like, get out of here. And then Jeremy just like randomly headbutts him off the bike. Yeah. And so we get to see that Jeremy is really going through some changes.
Yeah, his forehead starts fucking moving.
Yeah.
Veins and popping everywhere.
And then so after another sleepwalking incident, where nothing really comes of that. No, that she sees the kid. Like, Samantha sees like the same kid that Corey saw. Then she finds that she is outside with Justin on top of like a cliff. And his face is all fucked up because he's been wearing this bunny mask that he made. Inexplicably, he doesn't need to. He doesn't there's no reason for him to wear
doesn't
this
help
thing.
with the time traveling aspect.
It doesn't help with anything. In fact, it becomes quite a problem at some point. And he tells her that the book about time travel that she owns and has never mentioned was written by his grandmother. And says that he made a bunny skull from a drawing that Samantha's deceased brother made. Which is like, what? What are you fucking talking about? And then, so Samantha just like kind of walks away from this guy and is like, all right. So she's walking, and then right below the cliff that she's on, she finds a cave where there are 2 bodies of dead boys. And right next to it is the wrist, the bracelet that had the key on it that the church lady had.
Yep.
And so Randy's little brother is one of the dead boys, of course, and then the other one is Billy Moorcroft, the missing boy. And so the town people assumed that Iraq Jack did this, that he murdered these 2 kids, because, I mean, he has talked a lot about killing babies before.
Baby killer.
This is close to that, I guess. It's not a bold leap, but, fucking Samantha knows that the church lady had that bracelet on, and she's pretty sure it was the preacher who did it. And I am too. So she tries to tell the cop, who is like this shorts wearing doofus. And he's like, no, we're pretty sure we're gonna go ahead and assume it was Iraq Jack. And that's fine, I guess.
That's right.
Everyone like thinks that she's a hero. Everyone like gives her a round of applause at the diner, and it's like, yikes.
They do a slow clap, like, thank you for your service.
They do a thank you for your service. And so the police take Iraq Jack into custody. That night, Samantha is given the dress by Jeremy, and he asks her on a date, and she goes with him. She takes him back to the hilltop. And they see these things that look like shooting stars falling to Earth, but they are in fact tesseracts. What's a tesseract, you may ask? It is a 4th dimensional object, and they just see a bunch of them falling from the sky to Earth, and they're just like plummeting into the ground.
Well, Jeremy calls them.
Jeremy has apparently summoned these tesseracts.
Yes.
And so they're just crashing into the city and shit, and he becomes manic and violent, and Samantha's like, what is going on, man? He's like, he really wants a kiss from her, and she's like, I'm not into it. And so he pushes her with his and his forehead gets all veiny. He pushes her, and she falls, and she hits her head on the bunny mask that
oh my god
Iraq Jack left on the ground, and that's where the big shrapnel in her ghost head is from. So she looks like the ghost version of herself now, and yeah, she's dead. She falls and lies motionless, and she has a big gash in her head, and tesseracts are falling to Earth. So then a ghost version of her ghost self visits Iraq Jack in jail. Randy is trying to look for Samantha as the tesseracts are falling from the sky. Unknown why he's doing that. Iraq Jack puts on his mask, goes up and gets it, I guess. She like lets him out of jail. Or she like gives him like a portal, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand the rules here.
What is this movie trying to say, Colton?
And so by putting on the mask and giving him this portal, he goes back in time, and then to the night when he was on the windmill. So he climbs back up on the windmill and waits for the meteorite to hit him. And he just like gets hit. And because he dies, the rest of the movie is different. So
the rest of the movie honestly doesn't even happen.
It doesn't happen.
Nothing happens in this movie. Like the kid is still in the mine. Nothing is going to be resolved.
Right.
Samantha's getting on a bus back to Virginia. Nothing happens.
Kid is still going to die. You see him alive in the mine. They like flash to everybody.
He's like reaching out his hand like, please, someone come help me. I'm alive.
Right. Like, so nobody is saved except for Samantha, who is just like, gets a bad feeling about the town after a person is killed. Like, and she's like, all right, I'm going to go home. And so she catches a bus home and she survives, but that kid is still going to die. That like preacher is still like a child murderer. Like the meteorite, the Tesseracts are still going to happen too, because like now, Ethan Hawke's brother, the motel guy, he gets the meteorite and he starts experiencing the rash. So like he's going to do the same thing.
So weird.
And
the end of the world is coming regardless, I guess, is the point of the movie. Nothing you can do to change it.
Yeah, and so basically the movie ends with her getting on a bus and just deciding to leave, and nothing else happens. Corey isn't with her. Corey's still going to stay. I don't know what the fuck is happening.
She's going to marry Jeremy and live a happy life.
Well, she admits at some point that like she doesn't know her dad, and her dad doesn't know her, and she doesn't know if like they actually have a job waiting for them. And so Samantha's just like, all right, peace, I'm out.
Yeah, I will say, in conclusion, this movie is a fun watch with friends because some of the stuff that happens is just ridiculous.
It's fucking bonkers. It's confusing.
Yeah, it's confusing as hell. So it is a fun watch with friends. And if you're a fan of the original, if you've seen the original Donnie Darko, please watch this. It's so funny, so strange. It's a strange movie.
Yeah, because the guy who made the original Donnie Darko has made it clear that he was not involved with this. Yeah. This was made against his wishes.
The best thing is that this movie killed any potential sequel to Donnie Darko.
Oh, for
in
sure.
his eyes, like he said, like this.
Well, he had never planned on making a sequel. He didn't want to do it. Even if he did
this, now he's definitely not going to.
He is yeah. And this, I mean, a critical failure on all counts. This doesn't even have like a cult following. It's impossible to have one because it
is on Amazon. We watched it through Amazon. I rented it. I paid $3 to watch it.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you for your service.
Thank Trump. He paid me. So.
Well, I won't. But crazy. He paid you your money.
So yeah, that's Samantha Darko.
Yeah, it's Darko. I know that you'd recommend it. I mean, maybe with friends, but like otherwise, I can't recommend it. It was just kind of confusing and frustrating. But to list off my 3 things that I liked the Jesusonomy book and design of that cover, the character of the woman who is having sex with Jesus, and the plot thread of Jeremy going through a space Spider-Man transformation that is barely touched upon. What were your 3 things for Pluto?
For Pluto, they were the beginning song of Blue Moon, the cover of Blue Moon. This fact that it looked like Universal City Walk. I love that. And I gotta say,
you love City Walk, man.
I love City Walk. You can see me there, and every day I'm there. Trying to think of the third. I think was that Randy Quaid joke with his penis and being hooked up by Louis Guzman. I'll just say my third favorite thing was Louis Guzman. He was funny in the movie.
Yeah. He was really giving it his all.
Yeah.
All right.
So do you want to? We have to spin our wheels. We got to pick the movies.
Oh right, shit.
I have mine ready to go.
I don't have mine.
I have yours. I have your list actually.
Can you send me that wheel that you sent me before?
Actually, yes, I can.
All right.
Give me 1 second. Let me just paste your list in here. Do. Alrighty.
I'll fill the airtime with some light japes. Pluto Nash.
Here we go, Colton. Check the chat of the Zencastar.
Okay, ready.
So we went with Colton's movie first last time, so I'll go first this time.
Okay.
So here we go. It's spinning, it's stopping. Oh, Christmas with the Cranks.
Oh man, holiday themed movie. Christmas in July.
Christmas in July, baby.
This will almost certainly not be out by the end of July, but I have to replace my Pluto Nash pick with another one, add something to the wheel. I'm just gonna put something in there. All right. So on my wheel, we will be watching Best Friends / Fiends, the Tommy Wiseau follow-up movie.
Oh man.
I believe it's a 2-parter too, so we have to really put some asides.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys
very
next
exciting.
week for Christmas in the Cranks and Best Friends / Fiends Part 1 and 2.
Yep.
If we get through it, I might bail on that.
You might. This might be the one that breaks you early.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Remember to rate us on iTunes, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening.